Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chatty Chatter. This week, because we're all a bit behind and a bit mixed up, we're going to do another bit of a episode 10 part 1 and an episode 10 part 2. So we're going to be covering both the British and Hungarian Grand Prix, and hopefully we'll release them slowly. So these are going to be a bit shorter, these episodes, but there'll be still a lot of content to go through. So, Ella, got anything to add for where we're going next?
Let's dig into quali on the British Grand Prix.
Well, there isn't, how do I say, much, was there, really, in this quali. Do you want to tackle normal quali first?
Well, as most of you are aware, there was a normal qualifying, which then you were given like the fastest award. I don't know what it was. It was some sort of special, like a hot lap award.
Yeah, was it like Speed lap. King or something?
Yeah, Speed King, which was fine. And then you had the sprint quali, which you started on your qualifying positions, and then whichever you finished the sprint race on, that's how you started in the normal race. Normal quali, I found it boring. Normally in the UK British Grand Prix race, it's same old, same old. So it was nice that it wasn't decided on that. I thought it just spiced it up a bit because usually you have the same old people in the top 10.
Yeah.
It just meant like if you crash out in quali, it was you had to make up a lot of places in the race. And I believe that happened with Perez.
Someone had an accident in normal qualifying, and I think Perez started further back. He didn't have a very good normal qualifying session. I don't think. I think he may have had a slight bit of damage. I think he may have lost it at a corner and tapped it slightly.
Yeah. And yeah. So that was quite exciting. Yeah, that was it really for my normal quali. Sprint quali, I absolutely loved. I think it's a good format. It just makes it exciting because you had those people who did really well in quali, like Russell, and maybe got overtaken in a bit, but it meant like, didn't he finish in the top?
Yeah, he managed to get then into top 10, but I know I slightly differ from you on this because I watched it and was it just didn't seem okay. I understand it sells more tickets to people because I think there's 120,000 people at Silverstone to watch the sprint qualifying, which is then there's 180,000 actually on a normal Grand Prix week day. So I understand it improves the Saturday watch rates and the Saturday attendance, but it just seemed 17 laps of what I was going to see. After lap 3, that was it. It was.
I don't think it needs to be as long as it was. No. I think they could cut it down and make it a proper sprint.
Yeah.
So maybe 10 laps max.
Yeah, because 17 just seemed the same as what a Sunday would. It just seemed like I'm watching a third of a Sunday race. Or
maybe 5 laps, you've got to. I think 10 gives you enough to try and do some overtakes.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Then it only. I'm a note of this, and that's what I realised. The only people benefiting out of it were those who qualified quite poorly. It gave the people like a second chance. Like Russell had a really bad normal weekend, but managed to bring it back when in the sprint. So I suppose it gives a bit more favour to cars that we don't normally see, but that's on a very specific example.
I liked how it punished those who made a mistake. Because they then had to start last.
Yeah. But I understand it does force drivers to adapt or be left behind. But it just seemed I just gathered I was watching it and I just felt a bit too long. Me and my dad were both sitting there going, all right, lap 5, all right, we know where it's going to go now. And that was about it.
I do think they should shorten it. I was a bit bored by the end, but I liked the start. It was very, we've got to go make this move, do that stuff, just to get better positions. So it just needs to be shorter.
hopefully they've got enough. We're seeing it 2 more times, aren't we, on the calendar this year?
I think so.
So we'll see. Although I did like the wreaths that they got at the end. We were going back right to the 1970s where you didn't get trophies, you got wreaths for winning races.
I liked that. I thought that was a nice touch, and also them doing a lap around the end so the crowd can see them.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch. Okay, Hamilton wasn't very pleased to be there because he didn't win.
He was miserable.
Which was quite funny.
He was unbelievably a sore loser. Like, Max was there being really jolly. Look, I'm wearing the wreath, waving about. Then Lewis was just face like a slapped ass, sitting there, not interested at all. And then Bottas was just Bottas was like, yeah, I did well. That finished characteristic. He didn't really say much, and that was that.
It was just, I liked it. And then when it got to like talking about the British crowd and it got to the big stadium, he was literally like, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're so amazing. My British home crowd. And I was a bit like, you literally was complaining about it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And now that's changing soon.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the start of my irritation with Hamilton becoming more and more present, because that was just the start of the whole issue of that weekend. And it was becoming clear that he is not doing well with the fact that someone's beating him.
I mean, that's a nice lead into the actual race.
Yeah.
Go on, George, get your anger out. What happened was it turn 1 or whatever it was?
Oh, it was
turn 2?
It was turn 2, and I was just, oh my God. Oh no, it wasn't. It was turn 4. Sorry. But it kicked off in turn 2. So I'm going to put my notes here, and I'm just going to read it out. I was so angry when I wrote this note still. And I wrote this, 2 weeks after the race? And I've just written, Hamilton, Pratt in a silver arrow. Like, I was just unbelievably fuming. Because he goes into turn 4. He's at Copse, which is the most... It's the fastest corner on the entire F1 calendar, and he decides, I'm going to stick it down the inside. And he just wipes Max out. What was it, 53G crash into the side of the barriers? It was.
It was that. Yeah,
it was the low 50s, and then Hamilton's just like, what was he doing? He turned in on me, and it was just. I've watched that video so many times, and it was Max had the line and Hamilton dove down the inside, and I thought the 10 seconds that Hamilton got was not harsh enough for that at all. That Hamilton ended up back in the field, but he still manages to push all the way through and actually win. That after Leclerc has led for 55 laps.
For wiping someone out.
I know. And what it was even worse is, I know you noticed it because you told me first, Max being in hospital, and then Lewis saying, oh yeah, look at me, I'm winning, I've done well, look at me, I'm so well, and look at me. And Max is sitting there in hospital.
But everyone knew Max went to hospital before the race ended.
Yes, and they all just went, oh, and Lewis's excuse, I didn't know. I'm sorry, but...
How do you not know you put someone in hospital?
Yeah. I was...
Usually he asks, is the person okay? How are they doing? Even if it's not involved in his incident. But because it was Max, he was like...
I'm just not interested in it. And I was like, 10 seconds is just... And people were saying they can't be more strict because it just doesn't help that the car is better than anyone else's. But I think they should look at that in a little bit of detail, because if this car is so far advanced to anyone else's and it can go from being 18th to 1st and climb all the way back up, even with a 10-second penalty, is just astonishing. Because I understand, and this is where Red Bull ended up appealing last week, and we got rejected saying that it wasn't new evidence. They were trying to use Alex Albon in a simulator to show how bad it was. But still, I don't think that for 10 seconds was harsh enough at all for what he did. It was dangerous.
He put someone in hospital, and it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I like seeing a bit of danger in F1, but when I don't mind danger when it comes from racing incidents, but he dived down the inside. It that wasn't a racing incident in any means. That was just him being reckless and dangerous. But this is the start. This is just Red Bull not just being at the poor end of the stick of Mercedes. I can't describe it, being sore losers.
Just getting away with a lot.
Yeah. I just don't see how they've managed to just go into that like, oh yeah, that's fine.
If it was any other driver doing that, they would have had a lot of harsher penalty for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anyone else, but it's irritating that Mercedes can waltz around and Lewis can do the same. And in reality, it wasn't sportsmanlike at all. And Mercedes immediately saying, "Well, you're tarnishing Lewis's reputation with what you've said," but it's true though. Everyone thinks he's a bit of a prat, which was echoed at Hungary. But that's for part two's discussion. But I don't know. Have you got anything else more to add on the Mercedes, Red Bull, and Hamilton's Max?
I just think Mercedes was just very arrogant about it, and it could have been a really bad situation because of the speed it was at. If it was just a tiny bit more of the front, people could have lost their life.
Yeah, you should look at it again and again. You've got to thank it got out, but the damage to that tyre wall when that car hit was huge.
Yeah. If we haven't seen photos of the car either, that was just.
It's just smashed. And these Mercedes incidents have cost Red Bull millions. Right, huge amount of money.
And I liked the fact that Red Bull, were like, we're not going to play dirty just because they've hit us.
Yeah.
And which has been echoed in Hungary. They've done nothing.
No.
They haven't come out all gun blazing. They've just stuck to their race. And they've just been taken out, both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? It's just they're always wrong place, wrong time for them these last 2 weeks.
Wow, Mercedes.
Well, I know. I'm just what I'm saying. Yeah, but that's the line you got to take, isn't it? As much as Horner will be pushing Toto at, privately, publicly, it's better for Red Bull to save face and be nice-ish.
It doesn't look good on them if they're condemning and they do the same thing.
Yeah. So they've just got to be the bigger man and bigger team, and just deal with it and roll with a punch and just prove them wrong later in the season. That's what I think they need to do.
Shall we move on
to
other dramas?
Yes. Me being the McLaren fanboy that I am, I'm going to bring up this bit with a bit of McLaren pace coming out in Britain, which was nice, especially to see. I'm glad Ricciardo was actually starting to, find his feet. How many races into the calendar are we now? And he's only just finding his feet, which is a bit irritating that it's taken this long. But his performance in Great Britain was good. He did really well to keep Sainz back at the closing half of the race, and especially with Norris just doing what Lando does and just powers off and just runs his own race. But that fight between the two McLarens and Alonso at the start was epic, that lap, and the double overtake that went on. I don't know if you remember when Alonso started on softs, took the gamble, and his gamble didn't really pay off when his softs were going. And at the chicane, they just both Red Bulls double double overtake, and Alonso had no idea that there was a second McLaren behind him. So he let one go and just went, oh, that's it. And then suddenly another one's just breezed past him. Which, yeah, it's nice to see. Hopefully we could get third in the constructors with any luck.
Other note you've pointed out was Leclerc.
Yes, Leclerc and his and just that masterful before a safety flag dives down quickly and just takes that first place before the red flag and the safety car. It was right place, right time for him.
He had a good start. With a really good start. Overtook Bottas.
Bottas had a bad start, and then look, that's why I wasn't even looking at Leclerc. That was the problem. He just appeared out of nowhere.
I remember when we were on the red flag and they kept replaying the start and from Leclerc's point of view, and I was like, where did he come from?
Yeah, he just appears. Right? It's just shocking that he just is there. So I thought he was perfect, and I was so upset because you just thought at the end he had done so well, holding that position for the entire race, and on the last 3 laps to be overtaken. He was so close.
I was gutted for him. I was wanting Leclerc so badly. Yeah. Leclerc. I just wanted him to keep hold of the lead, and I think we were messaging each other going, no.
Yeah, that's the irony, because Matt from WTF1 was tweeting about it, saying, look, guess what we're gonna see a Leclerc on winning. It's gonna be amazing. And then he says I should just shut up, because every time I tweet about Charles, it's just I ruin it for him. But it was so banking on it happening, so I don't know. I was so looking forward to it.
More than Hamilton.
Yeah.
And also, it was very controversial that he won.
Yeah, it was. It got to the end, and he was like, "Oh, look at me! I'm done so well. The bigger I am." And actually, the better driver was Leclerc that race. He was in the right place at the right time and used it to his advantage.
And didn't take out a driver.
No, that is true. He didn't torpedo into the side of someone.
And I also just the celebrations. It was just. It looked like he won a championship, not a race. I just felt bad for Leclerc and Bottas, who were also on the podium.
Yeah.
It just got lost in translation. I forgot Leclerc was even second.
Yeah, at the end, he's just everyone just
felt bad for that. A good race.
Yeah, it was an amazing race from him. It was unbelievable, and everyone just like Hamilton, and that was it. And it just wiped away the achievements of the others. First, I don't know. It's getting harder and harder for me to have any benefit of the doubt for him. Really, roll on 2024 when he goes. I think.
I said to you at the start of the season, okay, I'm not a huge fan of him himself, but I don't mind him as a driver. Now I'm like, I just don't know. I was like, for someone to win 7, you've got to be
there's got to be something about you, isn't there? There's got to be something, but he's just not there, is he? I don't know. He's just there because he wants to beat Schumacher, and that's why I like Vettel's comment this weekend of saying, "I really hope that he doesn't beat Michael. I hope Max wins, because Michael is my hero in my eyes, and if I'm honest, Lewis isn't anything like him. So I don't know. I'm very disappointed.
But I think that's the reason why Hamilton signed on a deal for 2 years, because he didn't think he was going to do it this year.
Yeah.
And he wanted another year to get into it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed, but hey ho. Right. Do you want to go into some of what our predictions were for Britain while we're here?
Yes. Normally we would give our scores, but we're going to just post them online. So if you're really curious about what our scores were for both of these races, we'll post them online. So stay tuned for that. But for our predictions for this race, we both put Verstappen pole, which technically he did get pole. Hamilton got speed king. Oops, sorry. And then we thought that I thought Tsunoda and you thought Alonso would be in the top 10 in as a bonus point. We didn't get that. They were not.
Alonso was, I think. I thought we did top 5, but if we're saying top 10 now.
We had top 5, didn't we? We had top 5, not top 10.
Damn it.
You shouldn't have said anything.
I shouldn't. Well, no, because I would have had to argue my point because Alonso was 7th in the sprint start.
And then I've put Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, Perez, Gasly. And you put Verstappen, Perez, Norris, Hamilton, Bottas. Nope. No points. Nil point.
No, no point. Yeah, we had a bad week this week, predictions, didn't we? Actually, to be honest, both these weeks have been really tough because of the accidents and the crashes that have happened. That it's just thrown all the predictions out the window. My fantasy F1, I got 34 points on one of my teams.
Oh, this week I got 57 in one of my teams.
Yeah. Like, all of it is just going out the window.
Oh, I better check if I'm still beating George.
Yeah, I think you probably are beating me now. I think I think I'm third. I think I'm going to fall to third. So, well,
I'll double check later, guys.
Oh yeah, and then you'll shove it in my face.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that covers about Britain, doesn't it? Would you say?
Yeah.
Have got anything else to add?
No, I think we'll go into part 2.
Yeah. So
see you in a bit.
See you all guys later. See you for next week for the second part of how we break down the Hungarian Grand Prix.